The Peace Protocol, a step-by-step guide to disarming anger, a motivational audiobook by the Protocols of Astrian. Welcome to a new kind of book about anger. This is not a book that will tell you that getting mad is bad or that you should never feel frustrated again. Anger is a natural human feeling, and it often shows up when something we care about is being threatened or hurt. Think of it like a smoke alarm. It gets loud and annoying, but it is really just trying to tell you that something is wrong. The problem is that most of us have never learned what to do once the alarm starts ringing. We either smash the alarm or we run away from the house, but we never stop to check what actually caused the fire. This book is going to teach you how to pause, look around, and deal with the situation calmly and wisely. It is a step-by-step plan to turn down the heat and take back control of your life. This journey we are about to take together has 15 simple steps, each one built on the last. We will start by understanding where your anger comes from and why some days your fuse is so much shorter than others. Then, we will fill your toolbox with easy tricks and techniques you can use in the heat of the moment, tricks that actually work when you are about to lose your cool. After that, we will look at the bigger picture and talk about how to build a life where anger doesn't visit you as often. By the end of this book, you will not be a person who never gets angry. You will be something much better. You will be a person who can feel anger rising and simply choose a different path. You will be free from the explosions, the regret, and the damage. Turn the page, take a deep breath, and let's begin the journey to disarm your anger for good. Chapter 1. The heat of the moment, what's really happening inside. Let's start by putting a frustrating scene under a microscope. Imagine you are driving home after a long day, and someone cuts you off in traffic without warning. In that split second, before you even have time to think, your hands grip the wheel tighter and your jaw clenches shut. You might feel a rush of heat spreading across your chest and up into your face. This is not just you being dramatic. This is your body's ancient survival system kicking into high gear. Thousands of years ago, this same response helped your ancestors fight off wild animals. Today, it just makes you want to roll down the window and yell at a stranger in a minivan. Your body is preparing for a physical battle, even though the threat is just someone being rude on the road. Inside your brain, a tiny region called the amygdala has just pressed the big red emergency button. It acts like a guard dog that is always watching for danger, and when it spots a threat, it skips the thinking part of your brain and goes straight for action. This is why you sometimes say things you regret before your brain can catch up. Chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol flood your system, giving you a sudden burst of energy and strength. Your heart starts pounding faster to pump blood to your muscles so you are ready to fight. This is an amazing system if you are actually in physical danger, but it is a huge problem when you are just stuck in traffic or arguing about chores. You end up with all this extra energy and nowhere safe to put it. This built-up energy has to go somewhere, and usually it comes out of your mouth. You might snap at the person next to you, honk your horn until your hand hurts, or start speeding to feel like you are doing something. The problem is that these reactions usually make the situation worse, not better. You are acting from a place of pure instinct, not from a place of thought and calm. It is like trying to solve a math problem while a heavy metal band is playing inside your head. You simply cannot think straight when your body is screaming, "Fight," at the top of its lungs. Understanding this physical process is the first big secret to disarming your anger. The good news is that just because your body has an alarm system doesn't mean you have to obey it. You cannot stop the alarm from ringing sometimes, but you can learn how to turn down the volume. The first step is simply noticing what is happening inside your own skin. The next time you feel that heat rising, try to just watch it for a second. Notice your breathing getting faster and your shoulders getting tight. By becoming a curious observer of your own body, you take the first step out of the driver's seat of pure instinct. You are no longer just the angry person. You are the person watching the anger happen. This is what we mean by the heat of the moment. It is a real physical event inside your body, and it follows a pattern every single time. There is a trigger like the car cutting you off. Then there is the alarm, which is your amygdala shouting danger. Then comes the physical rush of energy and the urge to act. Finally, there is the action itself, which is usually the part we regret later. If we can learn to interrupt this chain even one tiny step earlier, we can change the entire outcome. We can let the energy pass through us without letting it explode out of us. So for the rest of this book, we are going to treat anger like a physical force, not a character flaw. We are going to learn how to ride the wave instead of being crushed by it. We are going to study our own bodies like scientists and learn exactly what makes us tick. By the end of this chapter, you should feel a little less scared of your anger. It is not a monster living inside you. It is just a biological process that you are about to become a master of. And that is a very exciting place to start. Chapter 2: Finding Your Anger Buttons and Who Pushed Them. Now that we know anger is a physical reaction, it is time to become detectives and look for clues. Every single person has specific triggers, things that reliably make them see red. For some people, it is feeling ignored or not listened to. For others, it is feeling disrespected or treated like they are stupid. And for many of us, it is the feeling of being trapped, like in a traffic jam or a boring meeting that just won't end. These triggers are like buttons on a control panel, and when someone or something pushes them, the anger program starts running. The tricky part is that most of us don't even know what our own buttons are until they have already been pushed. Think back over the last few times you got really angry. Was there a common theme? Did it happen when someone interrupted you? Did it happen when you felt like you were being blamed for something that wasn't your fault? Maybe it happens most often when you are already tired or hungry, and then something small just pushes you over the edge. These patterns are the fingerprints of your anger, and they are unique to you. Your best friend might get angry about completely different things. Finding these patterns is like finding a treasure map, because once you know where the traps are, you can learn to walk around them. You cannot avoid every trigger in life, but you can at least see them coming. One of the biggest anger buttons for most people is the feeling of injustice. We have a deep inner sense of fairness, and when that sense is violated, we react strongly. If you see someone cutting in line, or if you work hard on a project and someone else takes the credit, your anger flares up to defend what is right. This is actually a good sign. It means you have a strong moral compass. The problem is that our sense of fairness is not always the same as reality. Sometimes we don't have all the information. Maybe the person who cut you off is rushing to the hospital. Maybe your boss didn't know you did all the work. Our anger jumps to conclusions before our brain has a chance to ask questions. Another huge button is feeling powerless or out of control. Anger often shows up as a way to feel powerful again. When you are stuck in a situation you cannot change, like a flight delay or a bad diagnosis, anger can make you feel like you are doing something. It is a false sense of control, but it feels better than helplessness. Yelling at the airline agent won't make the plane come faster, but for a moment, it makes you feel strong. Recognizing this pattern is a gift. When you feel anger rising in a powerless situation, you can stop and say, I am feeling helpless right now, and my brain is trying to fix that with anger. Then you can look for real ways to cope. Your buttons are also heavily influenced by your personal history. If you were teased as a kid for being slow, you might still get angry today when someone calls you lazy. If you grew up in a house where no one listened to you, you might explode when your partner tunes out during a conversation. The past has a way of wiring our present reactions without us even knowing it. A small comment today can sometimes rip open an old wound from years ago. That is why two people can hear the exact same words, and one laughs while the other gets furious. It is not just about the words, it is about the history attached to them. So your homework for this chapter is simple but powerful. Get a notebook or just think quietly and start listing your own anger buttons. Write down the situations, the words, and the feelings that tend to set you off. Be honest with yourself. Maybe it is when your teenager rolls their eyes. Maybe it is when your boss changes the deadline at the last minute. Maybe it is just the sound of someone chewing loudly. By numbing these buttons, you take away some of their power. They are no longer invisible landmines hiding in the dark. They are just things on a list, and you are now a person with a map and a plan to step carefully. Chapter 3. The short fuse versus the slow burn. What's your style? Have you ever noticed that people get angry in very different ways? Some people are like fireworks. They explode fast and bright, and then it is over. Others are more like a pot on the stove. They simmer quietly for a long time until they finally boil over. Neither style is right or wrong. They are just different patterns of dealing with frustration. Understanding your own personal anger style is like learning the rules of a game you have been playing your whole life without knowing the score. It helps you predict your own moves and plan better strategies. If you have a short fuse, you probably already know it. People might describe you as hot-headed or say they have to walk on eggshells around you. Your anger comes on suddenly and intensely, like a summer storm. You might say things in the heat of the moment that you regret later, and you often calm down just as quickly as you erupted. For you, the biggest challenge is creating a pause between the trigger and the explosion. You need tools that work in the blink of an eye, because that is all the time you have. The good news is that your anger doesn't usually hang around for days, so you have a clean slate to work with once the storm passes. If you are a slow burn type, your anger works differently. You might not even realize you are angry at first. You just feel a little annoyed, then a little more annoyed, and you keep swallowing it down. You tell yourself it is not a big deal or that you don't want to make a scene, but inside the pressure is building. You replay the situation in your head over and over, getting more and more upset each time. Then finally, something tiny happens, and you explode over something that seems small to everyone else. They are confused because they didn't see the 1,000 little things that piled up before. For you, the challenge is learning to speak up earlier, before the pressure gets too high. There is also a third style that is a mix of both. Some people can hold it in for a long time, but when they finally blow, it is a massive explosion. This is like a geyser. It is quiet for a long time, building pressure underground, and then it erupts with tremendous force. If this is you, your anger might scare people because it comes out of nowhere and seems too big for the situation. You might even scare yourself. The key for you is to find safe, small ways to let off steam regularly, so the pressure never gets to that dangerous level. You need release valves built into your daily life. Your anger style is not a life sentence. It is just a habit your brain has gotten into, and habits can be changed. If you are a short fuse, you can learn to slow down. If you are a slow burn, you can learn to speak up. It takes practice, but it is absolutely possible. Think of it like learning a new dance. At first, you step on your own feet, but over time, the new steps become natural. The first step is just knowing which dance you have been doing all along. So take a moment and ask yourself honestly, which one sounds most like you? Do you pop off quickly and then forget about it? Do you hold it in until you cannot hold it anymore? Do you seem calm on the outside while a volcano is brewing inside? There is no prize for being one style over the other. The prize is simply self-awareness. Once you know your style, you can stop judging yourself and start helping yourself. You can pick the tools in this book that will work best for your unique wiring. You are not broken. You just have a specific pattern, and patterns can be redrawn. Chapter 4. The Pause Button. Your Secret Power. Imagine you had a remote control for your emotions. When you felt the heat rising, you could just press a button and everything would freeze for a moment. In that frozen moment, you could think clearly and choose exactly how you wanted to respond. Well, this chapter is going to teach you that you actually do have that remote control. It is called the pause, and it is the single most powerful tool in the entire peace protocol. The pause is that tiny gap between something happening and you reacting. Right now, for most of us, that gap is so small we don't even know it exists. Our job is to stretch it out, even just for a few seconds. The pause sounds simple, but it is not easy at first. Your body is screaming at you to act, to fight back, to say something. Fighting that urge feels like trying to hold back a river with your bare hands. But here is the secret: you don't have to fight it. You just have to buy yourself a tiny bit of time. You are not trying to make the anger go away, you are just trying to create enough space to remember that you have a choice. In that space, you can decide if you want to yell or if you want to stay quiet. You can decide if you want to storm out or if you want to take a deep breath. The pause gives you back your power of choice. So how do you actually do this in real life when your blood is boiling? You need a simple, physical trick that interrupts the rush. One of the best tricks is to physically step back. Just take one small step away from the person or situation. This small movement signals to your brain that you are creating distance. Another trick is to put your hands in your pockets or behind your back. This physically stops you from pointing fingers or making aggressive gestures. You can also focus on the feeling of your feet on the ground. Just for a second, pay attention to the floor beneath you. This brings your mind out of your angry thoughts and back into your body. Another powerful way to hit pause is to change the subject in your own head. When anger takes over, it plays the same angry thought over and over like a broken record. You have to deliberately change the channel. Ask yourself a random question. What color is the sky right now? What did I have for breakfast? What is that person wearing? It sounds silly, but it works. It forces your brain to stop spinning on the anger track and switch to a different, calmer track. Even a few seconds of this can lower the temperature enough for you to think clearly again. It is like throwing a bucket of cold water on a burning thought. The pause also gives you time to ask yourself the most important question of all. What is my goal here? In the heat of the moment, your goal feels like winning or hurting back. But if you pause and really think, your true goal is probably something else. You want to be understood. You want the problem to stop. You want respect. Yelling rarely gets you any of those things. In the pause, you can remember what you actually want. You can switch from trying to win the fight to trying to solve the problem. This one shift changes everything about how the conversation will go. Practice using the pause in small moments first. When you are annoyed by a long line at the store, practice stepping back in your mind. When someone says something mildly irritating at dinner, practice taking a silent breath before you respond. The more you practice when it doesn't matter, the stronger your pause muscle will be when it really counts. Soon, the pause will become your new habit. Instead of being a person who reacts, you will become a person who responds. And that is the difference between a life full of regret and a life full of peace. Chapter 5. Breathing not just for yogis. If someone told you that the secret to controlling your anger was right under your nose the whole time, you might roll your eyes. But it is true. Your breath is like a remote control for your nervous system. When you are angry, your breathing becomes fast and shallow, which tells your brain that danger is here and you need to stay alert. This creates a loop. The angry brain makes you breathe fast, and fast breathing keeps the brain angry. The good news is that you can break this loop by changing your breath. You can send a signal back to your brain that says, "Relax, everything is okay." It is like magic, but it is just biology. Now, we are not talking about complicated meditation techniques that take years to learn. We are talking about simple, sneaky breathing tricks you can use anywhere, anytime, without anyone even noticing. The most powerful one is simply to make your exhale longer than your inhale. When you inhale, your heart speeds up just a tiny bit. When you exhale, your heart slows down. So by making your exhale longer, you are physically forcing your heart to calm down. Try it right now. Breathe in for a count of 4 and then breathe out for a count of 6. Just a few of these long exhales can start to lower the heat in your body. Another great trick is called breathing into your belly. When we are stressed, we breathe up high in our chests, which keeps us in fight mode. If you put your hand on your stomach and try to push it out as you breathe in, you activate the part of your nervous system that is meant for resting. This is called diaphragmatic breathing, and it is like giving your body a warm hug from the inside. It tells all your muscles that it is safe to let go of the tension. It is hard to stay clenched and furious when your belly is rising and falling in a slow, gentle rhythm. This is a tool you can use in the middle of a disagreement, and no one will even know you are doing it. You can also use your breath to buy yourself that pause we talked about in the last chapter. When you feel the anger rising, instead of opening your mouth, just take one slow, deep breath. Let the other person see you doing it. It shows them that you are staying calm, and it gives you a moment to think. That single breath can be the difference between a screaming match and a real conversation. It is like putting your car in neutral before you decide which gear to go into. You are not running away. You are just taking a moment to choose your direction wisely. The best part about breath work is that you can practice it anywhere. In the car, at your desk, in line at the grocery store. The more you practice when you are calm, the easier it will be to remember to breathe when you are angry. It becomes an automatic habit, like putting on your seatbelt. You don't have to think about it, you just do it. And when that deep breath becomes automatic, you have built a powerful shield against explosions. You are rewiring your own brain, one breath at a time. So here is your mission for this week. Several times a day, just stop and take 3 slow breaths. Make the exhale longer than the inhale. Notice how your body feels a little softer afterward. You are teaching yourself that you have control over your own state. You are not a victim of your feelings, you are the pilot of your own body. And the controls are as close as your own nose. Breathe in peace, breathe out fire. It really is that simple, and it really does work. Chapter 6. Rewinding the tape, asking what just happened. Imagine you are watching a movie, and suddenly you are furious at one of the characters. You might be yelling at the screen, thinking they are so stupid or so mean. But if you could pause the movie and rewind it, you might see something you missed the first time. Maybe the character had a reason for acting that way that you didn't see. Maybe they were scared or hurt. When we are in the middle of an argument, we are watching our own movie in fast forward, and we only see our own side. This chapter is about learning to rewind the tape and look at the whole scene with fresh eyes. It is about becoming a detective of your own life. In the heat of an argument, our brains create a story that makes us the hero and the other person the villain. We tell ourselves, they did this on purpose to hurt me. Or they are so selfish, they never think about anyone else. These stories feel completely true in the moment. But here is the thing, they are just stories. They are our interpretation of events, not the events themselves. There is always a gap between what someone does and the meaning we attach to it. Learning to pause in that gap and question our story is one of the most powerful skills you can ever develop. So how do you rewind the tape? You start by asking yourself a few simple questions. The first one is, what is another way to look at this? If your friend didn't text you back, your angry story might be that they are ignoring you. But another story could be that they are really busy, or their phone died, or they read it and forgot to reply. You don't know which story is true until you have more information. Holding onto the angry story without checking the facts is a recipe for fights that don't need to happen. By asking for another viewpoint, you open the door to curiosity instead of anger. Another great question is, what might they be feeling right now? This is called empathy, and it is like a superpower for calming down. If someone cuts you off in traffic, your angry story is that they are a jerk. But what if they are rushing to the hospital? What if they just got terrible news and aren't thinking straight? You don't know their story. By even considering that they might be suffering too, your anger loses some of its fuel. It is hard to stay furious at someone when you are busy wondering if they need help. Empathy doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it does cool the fire. You can also rewind the tape to look at your own part in the situation. This takes courage, but it is so worth it. Ask yourself, did I do something to add to this fire? Maybe you interrupted them first. Maybe you have been in a bad mood all day and snapping at everyone. Maybe you didn't communicate clearly what you needed. Seeing your own contribution is not about blaming yourself. It is about taking responsibility for your half of the problem. And when you take responsibility, you gain power to change things. You cannot control them, but you can always control you. The goal of rewinding the tape is not to decide that you were wrong and they were right. The goal is to see a bigger, truer picture. It is to move from black and white thinking to seeing all the shades of gray that real life is made of. When you see the whole picture, you can respond with wisdom instead of reacting with blindness. You can have a conversation instead of a battle. So next time you feel the anger rising, try to imagine a camera pulling back. See the scene from above. See both people with all their history and all their pain. In that wider view, anger often starts to look smaller and less important. Chapter 7. Using your words as tools, not weapons. Words are powerful. They can build a person up or tear them down completely. In the middle of an argument, it is so easy to grab the nearest word and throw it like a rock. We say things like, "You always do this," or "You never listen." These words feel good to throw in the moment because they are heavy and they hurt, but they are also terrible tools for actually solving the problem. They put the other person on the defensive and make them want to fight back. This chapter is about swapping out those rocks for better tools, tools that can actually fix what is broken. The first thing to learn is the difference between a you statement and an I statement. A you statement is an attack. "You are so messy. You don't care about me." These words make the other person feel blamed, and their natural reaction is to defend themselves or attack back. An I statement, on the other hand, is about your own experience. It is hard for someone to argue with how you feel. Instead of saying, "You are so messy," you could say, "I feel frustrated when I see clothes on the floor because I work hard to keep the house nice." See the difference? One is a finger pointing, the other is a hand reaching out. Another important tool is to talk about the specific behavior, not the person's character. If you tell someone they are lazy or selfish, you are attacking who they are as a person. That is a deep wound that is hard to heal. Instead, talk about the specific thing they did. Say, "When you didn't call me back, I felt worried and unimportant." You are not saying they are a bad person. You are saying that one action had a certain effect on you. This makes it much easier for them to hear you and change their behavior next time. It keeps the problem small and solvable. It is also important to ask for what you want, not just complain about what you don't want. Often in arguments, we just list all the things that are wrong. We are great at complaining, but not so great at offering a solution. After you explain how you feel, try adding a clear, reasonable request. "In the future, could you please just send me a quick text if you are going to be late?" This turns the conversation from a blame session into a problem-solving session. It gives the other person a clear path to making things better. People are much more likely to help you if they know exactly what you need. You also have to remember that tone matters just as much as the words themselves. You can say the perfect "I" statement, but if you say it while rolling your eyes or with a voice dripping with sarcasm, it will still start a fight. Your tone and your body language are half of the message. Try to keep your voice as calm and steady as you can. Keep your hands open and relaxed, not pointing or clenched. Look at the person, not away from them. You are trying to connect, not to conquer. A calm voice invites a calm response, while an angry voice guarantees a battle. Learning to use words as tools takes practice. You will mess up. You will slip back into old habits and throw rocks sometimes. That is okay. The goal is not to be perfect, it is to get a little better each time. After a fight, think back and ask yourself, did I use you statements or I statements? Did I talk about character or behavior? Did I ask for what I need? Each time you do this, you are rewiring your brain for better communication. And better communication leads to fewer fights and more peace. Your words can be weapons that destroy your relationships, or they can be tools that build them up stronger than ever. The choice is yours in every single conversation. Chapter 8: The Escape Hatch, When to Walk Away, and How to Do It Right. We have all heard the saying, "Never go to bed angry," but sometimes that is terrible advice. Sometimes the best thing you can do in a heated moment is to walk away. But there is a right way to walk away and a wrong way. Storming off in a huff, slamming doors, and giving the silent treatment is not an escape hatch. It is just a different kind of explosion. It leaves the other person confused and hurt, and it solves nothing. A real escape hatch is a planned, respectful pause that allows everyone to cool down and come back ready to actually talk. Learning the difference is a game changer. So when should you use the escape hatch? You use it when the conversation is going in circles and getting hotter instead of clearer. You use it when you feel yourself about to say something you know you will regret. You use it when your body is so flooded with adrenaline that you literally cannot think straight anymore. In those moments, staying in the room is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. You are not helping anyone by staying. The bravest and smartest thing you can do is to call a timeout. It takes strength to admit that you are too angry to talk productively. The key is how you call that timeout. You cannot just turn around and walk out without a word. That feels like abandonment to the other person. Instead, you need to use a simple script. You can say something like, "I am too angry to talk about this in a good way right now. I need a little time to calm down so we can work this out. Can we please take a break and come back to this in half an hour?" Notice what this does. It takes responsibility for your own feelings. It explains why you are leaving, so they don't make up a scary story about it. And it sets a clear time to come back, so they know you aren't just running away forever. When you take that break, you have to actually use the time to calm down, not to sit in the other room and replay the argument in your head. If you spend the whole time getting more angry, the break was useless. This is when you use your breathing tools, or go for a walk, or listen to music, or do anything that genuinely lowers your heat. You are giving your body time to process the adrenaline and your brain time to regain its ability to think clearly. 20 to 30 minutes is usually enough for your nervous system to settle down. Any longer than that, and it starts to feel like punishment. When you come back together, you have to actually come back. You cannot just pretend the break never happened. You have to be willing to sit down and try again. This is where the real work begins. But now you are both calmer, and you have a much better chance of having a real conversation. You might even start by thanking them for respecting the break. This shows that you are on the same team. The escape hatch is not a way to avoid problems. It is a way to come back to them stronger and smarter. It is a tool for saving relationships, not for ending them. Using the escape hatch might feel strange at first, especially if you are used to staying and fighting until someone wins. But give it a try. The next time you feel a conversation heating up past the boiling point, suggest a break. It might just save you from a world of regret. It shows the other person that you value the relationship more than you value winning the argument. And that is a powerful message to send. You are not running away. You are simply stepping out to get some air so you can come back and build something better together. Chapter 9. Unloading the Past. Why Old Hurts Fuel New Fires. Have you ever noticed that sometimes your reaction to something small feels way too big? Your partner forgets to take out the trash, and suddenly you are furious, not just a little annoyed. It feels like you are angry about the trash, but deep down it might not be about the trash at all. Sometimes our present anger is just the tip of an iceberg. Under the water, hidden from view, is a huge mass of old hurts, past disappointments, and childhood wounds. When something happens today that reminds us of an old pain, that entire iceberg shifts, and our reaction is huge and confusing. This chapter is about looking under the water. We all carry a backpack of past experiences with us everywhere we go. Inside that backpack are times we felt rejected, times we were embarrassed, times we were treated unfairly. Most of the time, we don't even feel the weight of that backpack. But when someone does something that reminds us of one of those old hurts, it is like they reach into the backpack and poke that old wound. Our anger today is not just about what they did, it is about the old wound they accidentally touched. This is why two people can have the same experience and react completely differently. Their backpacks are full of different things. For example, if you were often ignored as a child, you might have a wound around feeling invisible. Today, if your friend looks at their phone while you are talking, that old wound gets poked. Your anger might explode out of proportion because it is carrying the weight of every time you felt ignored in your whole life. Your friend just sees you overreacting to a phone, but you are reacting to a lifetime of feeling unseen. Understanding this connection is a huge step toward peace. When you have a huge reaction, you can pause and ask yourself, is this about right now, or is this about something from my past? This is not about blaming your parents or your past. It is about understanding yourself better. It is about recognizing that some of your buttons are not your fault. They were installed a long time ago. But now that you know they are there, you can start to take responsibility for them. You can tell yourself, I am having a big reaction because this feels like when I was a kid and no one listened to me. But this is not that situation, and this person is not those people. This kind of self-talk can separate the past from the present and shrink your reaction down to a more reasonable size. Another powerful way to unload the past is to practice self-compassion. That little kid who felt ignored or hurt is still inside you somewhere. When you feel that old anger rising, you can send a little kindness to that younger version of yourself. You can say silently, "I know you got hurt back then. I am sorry that happened, but I am here now and I am going to take care of us." This might sound a little strange, but it is incredibly healing. When you stop fighting your old wounds and start soothing them, they lose their power to hijack your present moments. Unloading the past is not something you do once and then forget about. It is an ongoing practice. Old hurts can take a long time to fully heal, but every time you recognize that your anger is about something older than the moment, you take a step toward freedom. You stop being a puppet pulled by strings from your past, and you start being a person fully alive in the present. The goal is not to erase your history, but to make sure it is not writing your future. You deserve to react to today's problems with today's strength, not with the weight of everything that came before. Chapter 10. Stress-proofing your day, keeping your cool when life is hot. Imagine two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One person is calmly listening to music, while the other is gripping the wheel and yelling at every car. What is the difference? It is not the traffic. It is their stress levels before the traffic even started. Stress is like kindling for the fire of anger. The more stressed you are, the drier the kindling, and the easier it is for a small spark to turn into a huge blaze. If you want to have less anger in your life, you have to start managing your stress before it builds up. This chapter is about stress-proofing your daily life so your fuse stays long, even on hard days. Stress comes from all directions. It comes from work, from money worries, from family obligations, and from just the general busyness of modern life. When you are stressed, your body is already in a low-level state of alert. Your shoulders are tight, your jaw is clenched, and your patience is thin. You are like a cup that is already full to the brim. Then someone comes along and adds just one more drop, and you overflow with anger. But if you can keep your cup only half full during the day, you have plenty of room for those drops without spilling over. The secret is finding little ways to empty your cup throughout the day. One of the best ways to stress-proof your day is to build in small breaks, even if they are just a few minutes long. When you feel yourself getting overwhelmed at work, step away from your desk for 5 minutes. Go to the bathroom and just splash water on your face. Step outside and look at the sky for a minute. These tiny breaks are like pressing the reset button on your nervous system. They stop the stress from piling up higher and higher. It is amazing how much calmer you can feel after just 60 seconds of quiet. You are not wasting time. You are investing in your peace. Another huge factor in stress is the stories we tell ourselves about our day. If you wake up thinking today is going to be terrible, you will look for evidence to prove yourself right. You will notice every little thing that goes wrong, and your stress will skyrocket. But if you can start the day with a tiny moment of gratitude, even just thinking of one thing you are looking forward to, you set a different tone. Your brain starts looking for good things instead of bad ones. This doesn't mean bad things won't happen, but it means you will meet them with a fuller cup and a stronger spirit. Movement is another powerful stress reducer. When we are stressed, our bodies are full of adrenaline and cortisol, the fight or flight chemicals. Those chemicals are meant to be used up by physical activity. If you sit still all day, those chemicals just sit in your body and keep you on edge. A short walk, some stretching, or even just dancing in your kitchen for a few minutes can burn off that stress fuel. You don't need to run a marathon. You just need to move your body enough to tell it that the danger has passed and it is safe to relax. A moving body leads to a calmer mind. Finally, pay attention to the basics. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating food that gives you energy instead of draining it? Are you drinking enough water? When these basic needs are not met, your stress levels go way up and your ability to handle frustration goes way down. Think of yourself as a plant. If you don't water it and give it sunlight, it gets weak and droopy. You are the same. Taking care of your body is one of the most powerful things you can do to keep your anger in check. You are not being selfish. You are being smart. A well-rested, well-fed person is a person who can handle life's bumps with grace. Chapter 11. Sleep, Food, and Mood, the Surprising Connection. Have you ever noticed that everything seems more annoying when you are tired? The people around you move too slowly, noises feel too loud, and small problems feel like the end of the world. This is not a coincidence. There is a direct line between your physical state and your emotional state. When your body is run down, your brain does not have the energy it needs to regulate your feelings. Your patience runs out faster, and your anger fuse gets shorter. This chapter is about the simple, powerful connection between how you treat your body and how you feel in your heart. Let us start with sleep. When you do not get enough sleep, the part of your brain that controls impulses, the prefrontal cortex, gets tired and weak. It is like the CEO of your brain going on vacation and leaving the angry guard dog in charge. Without the CEO to keep it in line, the guard dog starts barking at everything. Studies show that tired people are much more likely to overreact to frustrating situations. They are also more likely to see neutral faces as angry faces. The world literally looks more hostile when you are tired. Getting 7 to 9 hours of good sleep is not a luxury. It is a core part of your anger management plan. Now let us talk about food. You have probably heard of the word hangry, which is a mix of hungry and angry. It is a real thing. When your blood sugar drops too low because you haven't eaten, your brain does not have enough fuel to function properly. It goes into a kind of emergency mode, and one of the first things to go is your patience. You become irritable, snappy, and quick to anger. This is your brain's way of demanding fuel. The solution is simple: eat regular meals that keep your blood sugar steady. Foods with protein and healthy fats are like slow-burning logs on a fire. They keep your energy stable for hours. Sugary snacks are like newspaper. They burn bright and fast, then leave you crashing. Water is just as important. Your brain is mostly water, and even mild dehydration can affect your mood and your ability to think clearly. When you are dehydrated, your brain has to work harder to do the same tasks. This extra effort leaves you feeling tired and irritable. You might not even feel thirsty, but your brain is already struggling. Keep a water bottle with you during the day and take sips regularly. It is one of the easiest and cheapest ways to support your emotional health. A hydrated brain is a calmer brain. Caffeine and alcohol also play big roles in your anger levels. Caffeine is a stimulant, which means it wakes up your nervous system. For some people, too much caffeine can make them feel jittery and on edge, which is a perfect recipe for a short fuse. Alcohol, on the other hand, lowers your inhibitions. It removes the brakes that usually stop you from saying or doing something you will regret. After a few drinks, you might say things that you would never say sober, and those words can start fights that last for days. Paying attention to how these substances affect your mood is a smart part of your peace plan. The point of this chapter is not to make you feel guilty about what you eat or how much you sleep. It is to give you power. If you know that tiredness makes you angry, you can prioritize sleep. If you know that hunger makes you irritable, you can carry healthy snacks. You are not at the mercy of your moods. You can influence them by how you care for your body. It is a form of self-respect. When you treat your body well, you are giving yourself the best possible chance to stay calm, no matter what life throws at you. You are building a foundation of peace from the inside out. Chapter 12. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood ideas in the world. Many people think that forgiving someone means you are saying what they did was okay. They think it means you have to trust them again or let them back into your life. Because of this, they hold onto anger and grudges like shields, thinking it protects them from getting hurt again. But holding a grudge does not hurt the other person. It hurts you. It is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. This chapter is going to give you a new, freeing way to think about forgiveness. It is a gift you give yourself, not a pass you give to someone else. Let us start with what forgiveness is not. It is not forgetting what happened. Your brain will not let you simply erase a painful memory, and you should not try. It is not saying that the hurt was okay or acceptable. Some things are truly wrong and should never be excused. It is not about reconciling with the person who hurt you. You can forgive someone and still decide that they are not safe to be around. Boundaries are still important. Forgiveness is something that happens inside you, regardless of what the other person does or says. It is about releasing the heavy weight of resentment that you have been carrying. So what is forgiveness then? It is the decision to let go of your desire for revenge and your hope for a different past. It is accepting that what happened did happen and that you cannot go back and change it. It is choosing to stop letting that person live rent-free in your head. When you hold a grudge, you replay the hurt over and over, and each time you feel the pain again. You are hurting yourself, sometimes for years, over something that is already over. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door of that prison. It sets you free, even if the other person never apologizes or even knows you have forgiven them. How do you actually do this hard thing? It starts with a choice. You decide that you are ready to feel better. Even if the other person does not deserve it, then you can try a simple exercise. Write down everything that happened and how it made you feel. Get it all out on paper. Then when you are ready, you can write a letter of forgiveness to the person, even if you never send it. In the letter, you acknowledge what they did, you say how it affected you, and then you state that you are choosing to let go of the anger. This act of writing can be incredibly powerful. It moves the hurt from inside your body to outside, where you can look at it and release it. Sometimes the person you need to forgive most is yourself. Many of us carry deep anger toward ourselves for mistakes we have made, for things we did or failed to do. We replay our own failures and call ourselves names. This self-anger is just as heavy as anger toward others, maybe even heavier. Self-forgiveness means accepting that you were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. It means learning from your mistakes without defining yourself by them. It means treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a good friend who messed up. You deserve that kindness from yourself. Forgiveness is not a one-time event, it is a process. You might have to forgive the same person or yourself many times for the same thing. The painful feelings might come back, and you will have to choose again to let them go. That is okay. Each time you choose forgiveness, you are strengthening your peace muscle. You are telling your past that it does not get to control your future. You are clearing out the old hurts to make room for new joy. It is hard work, but it is the most liberating work you will ever do. A heart free of old grudges is a heart that is light, open, and ready for peace. Chapter 13. Peace at Home, Disarming Anger with Family. Home is supposed to be our safe place, our refuge from the world. But ironically, it is often where our anger shows up the most. The people we love the most also have the most power to push our buttons. We let our guard down at home, which is good, but we also let our worst behavior out at home, which is not good. We snap at our partners, yell at our kids, and then feel terrible about it afterward. This chapter is about bringing the peace protocol into the place where it matters most, your home. It is about turning your house into a true sanctuary of calm. The first thing to understand is that your family is not your enemy. It sounds simple, but in the heat of an argument, we treat our loved ones like opponents to be defeated. We have to win, they have to lose. But in a family, if one person loses, everyone loses. You are on the same team, even when you disagree. Shifting your mindset from me versus you to us versus the problem changes everything. Suddenly, you are not fighting each other. You are working together to solve something. This one mental shift can reduce the temperature of family arguments more than almost anything else. With kids, it is especially important to remember that they are still learning. Their brains are not fully developed, especially the parts that control impulses and emotions. When your child has a meltdown, they are not trying to ruin your day. They are having a hard time, not giving you a hard time. If you can see their anger as a cry for help instead of an attack on you, you can respond with patience instead of punishment. You can teach them about the pause and about breathing by showing them, not just by telling them. You are not only managing your own anger, you are modeling peace for the next generation. With your partner, the key is often about fighting fair. All couples disagree, that is normal. The question is how you do it. Avoid bringing up past mistakes, that is like throwing gasoline on a fire. Stay in the present and talk about the current issue. Do not name-call or attack their character. Use the I statements we talked about earlier. And remember the escape hatch. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do in a fight with your partner is to say, "I love you too much to keep fighting like this. Let's take a break and come back to this." This shows respect, not weakness. Another important practice at home is to have regular check-ins. Do not wait until a fight explodes to talk about problems. Set aside a little time each week, maybe Sunday evening, to just sit and talk about how things are going. Ask each other, is there anything bothering you? Is there anything I could do to make you feel more supported? This keeps small problems from growing into big resentments. It builds a culture of openness and care. It tells your family that your relationship with them is important enough to protect. Finally, fill your home with more good moments than bad ones. Make time for fun, for laughter, for just being together without an agenda. When your emotional bank account is full of positive memories, the occasional withdrawal from an argument does not empty the account. You can handle a fight because you know that underneath it all, there is love and connection. Laugh together, eat together, play together. A home full of joy is a home where anger has a much harder time taking root. You are building a fortress of peace, one good moment at a time. Chapter 14. Staying cool under pressure at work. Work is a major source of stress and anger for most people. You have deadlines, demanding bosses, difficult coworkers, and often very little control over your own day. You have to be professional, even when you feel like screaming. You cannot just walk out or say whatever is on your mind. This makes work anger tricky. It has to be managed carefully. This chapter is your guide to staying cool, calm, and in control, no matter what chaos is happening around the water cooler. It is about protecting your reputation and your peace at the same time. The first rule of work anger is to never send an angry email, ever. Emails live forever. They can be forwarded, screenshotted, and used against you. When you are angry, your fingers want to type out every furious thought in your head. Do not do it. Write the email if you need to, get it all out, but put it in your drafts folder. Walk away. Come back tomorrow and read it with fresh eyes. Almost always, you will be grateful you did not send it. You will rewrite it in a calm, professional tone, or you might decide not to send anything at all. Your future self will thank you. When a coworker or boss does something that makes your blood boil, try to get curious instead of furious. Ask yourself, why might they have done that? Maybe they are under huge pressure you do not know about. Maybe they genuinely did not realize how their actions would affect you. Instead of assuming the worst, go to them with a question. You could say, I noticed this happened, and I wanted to understand your perspective on it. This opens a conversation instead of starting a war. Most workplace conflicts come from misunderstandings, not from people trying to be mean. Giving people the benefit of the doubt can save you a lot of anger. Another powerful tool at work is to focus on what you can control. You cannot control your boss's mood. You cannot control a coworker's laziness. You cannot control a client's unreasonable demands. But you can control your own effort, your own attitude, and your own responses. When you stop wasting energy on things you cannot change, you have so much more energy for your actual work. This is not about giving up. It is about being smart with your limited resources. Pour your energy into your own tasks and your own growth. Let go of the rest. It is also important to have a physical outlet for work stress. If you sit at a desk all day, tension builds up in your body. By the time you get home, you might explode over something small. Find ways to release that pressure during the day. Take a walk at lunch. Do some stretches at your desk. If you can, find a private place to take a few deep breaths. Moving your body helps flush out the stress chemicals so you do not carry them home with you. You are protecting your evening peace by managing your workday stress. Finally, build allies at work. Have a few people you can trust to vent to safely, people who will listen without judging and without spreading gossip. Sometimes just saying, "I am so frustrated right now," to a friendly ear can release enough pressure to get you through the rest of the day. Just be careful not to vent constantly, or you will become known as the negative person. Use these allies wisely. A strong support network at work is like having a life raft in a stormy sea. It keeps you afloat when the waves of anger threaten to pull you under. Chapter 15. When you're the target, disarming someone else's anger. So far, this book has been mostly about managing your own anger. But what about when someone else is angry at you? When someone is yelling in your face, blaming you, or treating you unfairly? It is one of the hardest situations to handle. Your natural instinct might be to fight back, or to shut down and run away. Neither of these usually helps. This chapter is about becoming a peacemaker in the middle of someone else's storm. It is about learning skills to calm them down without losing yourself in the process. It is like being a firefighter for other people's fires. The first and most important rule is to stay calm yourself. If you meet their fire with your own fire, you will just create a bigger fire. You have to be the one who brings the water. This is where all your practice with the pause and with breathing comes in. When someone is yelling at you, take a slow, deep breath. Remind yourself that their anger is about them, not you. They are hurting, scared, or frustrated. If you can see their anger as their pain, it is much easier to stay calm. You are not accepting blame for their anger. You are just choosing not to add fuel to it. Next, try to really listen. Most people who are angry just want to be heard. They want someone to acknowledge that they matter and that their feelings are real. Even if you disagree with everything they are saying, you can still listen. You can nod and say things like, "I hear you," or "Tell me more." This is not agreeing with them, it is just showing respect. When people feel heard, their anger usually starts to go down. They stop needing to shout because they feel like someone is finally paying attention. Listening is one of the most powerful tools for disarming anger. After they have had a chance to speak, you can show them that you understand. This is called validation. You can say something like, "I can see why you would be upset about that. That sounds really frustrating." Again, you are not saying they are right. You are just saying that their feelings make sense. This simple act of validation can be like magic. It tells their brain, "This person is not my enemy, this person is on my side." And when someone feels like you are on their side, they stop treating you like an opponent. The fight drains out of them. Once they are calmer, you can start to problem solve together. Ask them, "What would help make this better?" Or, "What are you hoping I will do?" This moves the conversation from blaming to fixing. It shows that you care about finding a solution, not just winning an argument. Sometimes the solution is simple, and sometimes it is complicated, but at least you are now working on it together. You have turned an attack into a collaboration. This is the ultimate goal when someone is angry at you. Of course, there are times when someone's anger is abusive. If they are calling you names, threatening you, or refusing to let you leave, your safety comes first. In those situations, you do not have to stay and be a peacemaker. You have the right to walk away and protect yourself. You can say, "I want to talk about this, but I cannot do it when you are yelling at me. Let's take a break and try again later." And then you leave. Disarming anger does not mean being a doormat. It means being smart, calm, and strong. You can handle someone else's storm without getting swept away by it. Conclusion: the quiet strength of a peaceful heart. You have made it to the end of this journey, but this is really just the beginning. You now have a toolbox full of powerful tools: the pause, the breath, new ways of speaking, and a deep understanding of where your anger comes from. You have learned that anger is not your enemy, it is just a messenger. And you have learned that you have the power to choose how you respond to that message. You are no longer a slave to your reactions. You are the calm captain of your own ship, even in stormy seas. This is not about being perfect, it is about being peaceful. It is about progress, not perfection. The world needs more people like you, people who are strong enough to be calm, people who can handle conflict without creating chaos. Every time you choose the pause over the explosion, you make the world a little bit calmer. Every time you respond with understanding instead of anger, you heal a relationship a little bit. This quiet strength you are building is one of the most powerful forces in the world. It will change your life, your family, and your community. So take a deep breath, hold your head high, and go out into the world with your new peace protocol. You have everything you need inside you right now. The peace you have been looking for is already yours.